I am Melissa Austin Weeks. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and I am a lifestyle blogger and the founder of Home with a Twist, which is everything that my mother taught me with my own modern spin. So I would love for y'all to visit my website. I share recipes, home decor ideas, gardening. I have a book club that we meet once a month if you're interested in reading. We have a fashion segment that we offer every Wednesday. So I would love for y'all to come over and get tips and tricks on welcoming your friends into your home. And what better way to do that than with cheese, because everybody loves cheese. So I'm going to kind of share with you a twist on a cheese board. So this is very informal. I really want y'all to make sure to put your questions in the chat. And to keep things moving, what I'll do is I'll wait until I'm finished showing you some ideas on how to put together your own charcuterie. And then I'll try to wrap up with any questions if there's something that I missed or if you need additional resources. And I'm going to put pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about today on my website tomorrow. So I usually post once a week and anywhere between 2 and 5 different topics. So if you want to sign up to receive my e-newsletters, you can just go to homewithatwist.com. And if you've never visited before, a pop-up box should come up that'll say, do you want to subscribe? And if you don't want to, you can just click off that and just read. So I am on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter. And sometimes, well, a lot of times on Facebook and Instagram, I share more content there than I do on my blog. So I'd love to have you as a faithful reader of Home with a Twist. So what we're going to do today, give me a show of hands, and I think y'all can use this feature if you've ever made a charcuterie board. If y'all know how to do the little reactions on your thing, you could make firecrackers go off, or let's see what all you can choose from. You've got thumbs up. Okay, great, good. I'm going to scroll through here so I can see a lot of people. Perfect. I love charcuterie boards, and it's actually pronounced charcuterie boards. Some people say charcuterie boards, and you can do either. That's fine. They've been around for years, and I don't know if we have any European friends joining us, but Europeans are famous for delicious meat and cheese boards. And they actually make a great dinner, especially in the summer when it's really hot and you don't want to heat up your kitchen. Go to your favorite grocery store and ask your cheesemonger or your deli, what meat and cheese do you recommend, and then add in some fruit, and you're good to go for a great summer meal. But I think one of the things about a charcuterie board is it's expensive, and it can be where you end up buying way too much, and then you end up with all this extra stuff that sometimes you throw away. So my idea for a charcuterie is not original. I did not make this up. I wish I did, but I'm going to kind of show y'all some examples. Now, the great thing about creating a meat and cheese board, or in our case, a charcuterie, is that you can do anything you want. There is no right or wrong reason. If you signed up obviously when you signed up for this class, hopefully you saw the attachment, or maybe some of you all downloaded the PDF that was included with the reservation. And if you didn't, we'll make sure that you will have Shelly come back on and tell us where you all can find that. But it's basically a little cheat sheet to kind of, if you've never made a charcuterie board before, if you just print that print off and put it in your recipe file, or keep it in your purse, or take a screenshot of it. Basically, what you're going to do is you want to start with 3 different kinds of cheeses. And in my case, what I'm going to do, and again, y'all can do whatever you like. Some of you may not like a certain cheese that I've picked tonight, and that's fine. You want to start with a hard cheese. And so in my case, I picked this Wisconsin sharp cheddar. There's also a really good English cheddar you can purchase. In terms of where you can get good deals on cheese, Trader Joe's, Aldi, Walmart, and any of your specialty cheese shops if you maybe want to spend a little bit more money. But quite honestly, I think you cannot, if you all live near an Aldi or a Trader Joe's, you cannot go wrong with their cheese selection. And a lot of times, especially at Trader Joe's, if you try, they'll let you try a bite of something before you buy it. And if you don't like it, they'll just probably put it on that little section in the back where you can come and sample food before you buy it. So I've got a sharp cheddar. The other, you want a soft cheese. And so for me, I'm going to show y'all how to decorate a brie, a wheel of brie. And then you want a semi-soft cheese, and that could be goat cheese, or I have some gorgonzola that is from Trader Joe's. And this was about $2.73. My cheddar was $3. So far I worked up to $5 for our cheese. And then I think I spent a little bit more on my brie. I bought it at Whole Foods, and it is a very soft grass-fed brie, a wheel of brie. And when I cut into it, I was a little disappointed because it's going to be delicious, but it's a little too soft for what I'm going to show y'all, but we're just going to pretend like it's going to work. Okay, so those are your 3 kinds of cheese. Then you can pick from a variety of meats. Typically, most people will do a pepperoni or a salami or a prosciutto. A prosciutto is an Italian ham, and you can get that at Whole Foods. They already have it cut up, and it's back in the meat section where the meat and cheese is, or you can ask the butcher to cut it for you. And let me give you a secret. Prosciutto is really good fried and put on your eggs or on pizza with a little bit of fig and some really nice cheese. So you can use the cheese for other things. You could put your pepperoni on a pizza. So you can have a little bit on your cheese board and a little bit on your pizza. Okay, then, you know, the sky's the limit. I bought, and y'all, I'm also, you can see me on the screen, but then I've also got my camera on my workspace. So here I've got Marcona almonds, which if you've never had a Marcona almond, oh my word. These are so good. And sometimes you can get them just plain. This one is seasoned with a little bit of truffle oil. Or you can just, and the difference with the Marcona almond, I don't know if y'all can see that a regular almond has, I also have a bag of regular almonds, but if you look at the difference, see how a regular almond has the brown skin? They're still healthy and good for you, but these have been stripped of their skin, and a lot of times they're seasoned with an oil or a spice. They're a little bit more expensive. This was $10.25 opposed to just a big bag of almonds I got at Costco. But you're not going to need many. So you could probably just keep these in a airtight container and you'll have them for a while. I also have some Kalamata olives that I've put out. I've got a really nice Granny Smith apple. I think Granny Smith apples are really the best accompaniment to cheese because they're nice and tart and it kind of cuts some of the sharpness of the cheese. And then I've got some heirloom tomatoes that are just different sizes and different colors that are pretty. And then I've got my pepperoni right here. And let's see what else. I think that's it. Oh, and crackers. Okay, so Trader Joe's has fabulous crackers, and so does Aldi. And so I got this box of, you turn it this way so you can see it. I got this box of crackers from Trader Joe's, and it's, I think, 3 or 4 different types of crackers. I'm going to show you a really fun way of how to put your crackers in your charcuterie jar. Okay, so we've got all our supplies, and again, you can use whatever you want, and there's no right or wrong answer, okay? So let me show you all the different jars. This one is a big jar. You're probably, Shelly, going to want to, there you go, perfect. This one's a big jar I got at the Container Store. I think you can also get jars like this at the dollar store. This is a bigger one, which if you're going to go, in my town, we have outdoor concert in the gardens. And if you like to go on picnics and you're going with maybe just one other person, a girlfriend or your husband or your spouse, you could put your charcuterie in this and maybe nestle it down into your cooler with a cold pack. And this could be a perfect charcuterie for two. Another option are anytime you have someone that gives you a jar of preserves, or you can even buy these at, or pick these up at Goodwill, just wash them real good in the dishwasher when you get home. Or you may have some of these out from doing canning. This is just an old canning, this is a canning jar, mason canning jar or a ball jar. It has the little top, the seal. They don't have to be sterilized, just make sure they're clean. And I'm not sure what size this is. If somebody's really into preserves, you might be able to tell me how big this one is. Then I have this, I think this size is adorable. This is a Kerr jar. It's a wide mouth mason. And it has the opening like this, okay? Or here's something else. This is one of my favorite things. I don't know if y'all like yogurt, but this is a wee yogurt, and it's O-U-I. It's a French yogurt, and it's delicious. And they come in these gorgeous jars with a metal lid. And after I'm finished with my yogurt, I like to keep these and wash them, and they make perfect charcuterie jars. In fact, I think this was the jar I used in the picture to describe what y'all would be doing during the event. But you know what else they're good for? Wine. You could put these out at everybody's place and have a really cute little wine glass, because maybe you just don't want to serve a whole lot, or like after dinner, a little sherry or some port. So these are great. These also make great candle jars if you're really into candling, and they're super nice. They don't have a lid, but I can show you how you can remedy that. Okay, I had grapes. I have no idea what happened to them. I bought them at the store, and I think maybe one of my cats ran off of it, but if you wanted to use grapes in your, and I'm looking all over my kitchen, I bet y'all find them after this is all over with, and I have no idea where they are. You don't need many. In fact, it was 33 cents worth of grapes. So this is already showing you how less expensive a charcuterie jar is than a charcuterie board. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do, this is my favorite one right here. We're gonna do this. So this is the small, this is the wide mouth jar. Okay, so Shelly, if you can take me on both my workspace and overhead. You want to try to put your things that may be a little damp on the bottom. That way you don't want to put your cheese on the bottom, and then if you're putting anything that you had to wash or that has moisture in it, you don't want to get your cheese all damp. So what I would suggest you do is, if I could find my grapes, I would put my grapes on the bottom, and that would be what would be on the bottom. But let's just pretend, and we'll just move on. We're going to do your olives. I've got a couple of Kalamata olives. These came from Trader Joe's, actually, really good price. And some Trader Joe's will have a display every once in a while, especially right before summer. They'll do a display of things you could put on a charcuterie board. Okay, so I think I put maybe, oh, let's do my space here. I did about 6. And you know what? In Mother Nature, everything happens in odds. So I've got 7 olives. And if you wanted to, this could just be a jar for 2 people. Or if you wanted this to be a meal, that could be for you. So you've got your wet stuff on the bottom. Let's say you want to have a couple of apples. So I've cut a really pretty, let's kind of cut that on the diagonal. Anytime you cut things on a diagonal, I think it's always so pretty. So you've got your apple. Okay, now let's get into our cheese. And then I'm going to show y'all a really fun little way to garnish your charcuterie. Okay, let's actually move and do a couple of really pretty tomatoes. Okay, so you've got your tomatoes. And you know, if you're not a big fan of tomatoes with your charcuterie boards, you don't have to do that. You don't have to, you could skip that part. All right, so I'm going to cut just a couple of cubes of cheddar. Now, let me tell you about cheese. I don't like to buy the cubed cheese, the pre-cubed cheese at the store. And here's why. And you're just going to, and I'm using a really big knife, but this is the knife I use to cut my brie. Normally you would use a smaller knife. And you're just going to probably cut, you probably just need 3, maybe 4 slices of brie. I mean, of cheese. Now, if you wanted to put more cheese in there, like if you really love gorgonzola, you could put gorgonzola is a really stout cheese. It can tend to make itself very known in your parties. So this may not be a cheese that you want to put in a jar, but you could give it a try and see how it works. So we're just going to cut a very small amount and kind of put it right there. Okay, now you could stop there and not do the lid. And let me show you what you could do. I think we're going to switch back to looking at me so I can show y'all this. Perfect. Okay, so I have a shish kebab stick. You can buy these in the grocery store. It's just a wooden stick. And I'm just going to kind of break off half of it. And if you had like a little, if you wanted it to be a cleaner on the end, you had a little instrument at home, you could do that. So I've got the pointy end here. Now, if you wanted to, instead of putting the tomatoes in your jar, you could put your tomatoes on here. But I think I'm going to take another tomato. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a little shish kebab with your stick. So I've got a tomato. I'm going to take a piece of pepperoni. Actually, I'm going to put 2 pieces together and I'm going to fold them in half, kind of like a taco. And then I'm going to cut. I'm going to put the whole through 1/2. And then let's do, let's do this. Let's put that piece of gorgonzola on the stick so it doesn't make the rest of your jar offensive. Gorgonzola is kind of, no, it's not going to work. It's crumbly cheese. So that's the whole thing. Let's do this. We'll switch it out and we'll do a piece of cheddar. Okay, so you've got your cheddar, then you've got and let's do this. This is why I say it's so forgiving. You just kind of have to do with what your fruit and cheese are going to do. Let's fold that. So see how pretty that is? And then you've got your cheese. And then we could do an olive. And so what this does is this is kind of your teaser that lets people know what is going to be in your jar. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then you just stick that down inside your jar. Like that. And then to garnish it, you can, I don't know if many of you all live in the area in Fort Worth, or if you had if your area was affected by the big freeze we had back in February. Well, I lost all of my rosemary. So I don't have any rosemary to show you, but I have some gorgeous thyme, and you can kind of just stick the thyme down in there as a garnish. And look how pretty that is. Can y'all see that? And so you could have a few of these already made up and put out on let me show you. You can buy really nice cheese boards at Target, at Walmart. Sometimes Trader Joe's has really pretty, but look, you could just put a couple of these, and then let me show you something else you could do. The other great thing about a cheese board is that if you are a big bread person, this is perfect for you, because you can also do bread and not do crackers. But just imagine that we made 2 of these, and you've got this on your board, another one here, and then maybe 2 glasses of red wine. And there you've got a gorgeous dinner that you could have for the summer, or if you have friends over, these could be out on a board. So that is an example of how to do a charcuterie. Now let me show you. Let's say you're going to go to like an outdoor event and you want to take a little picnic. So if you'll take me back, Shelley, to the tabletop, I'm going to show y'all a couple of fun things. Okay, so we're going to set aside our little stick that we made. You know what else is nice about this is that everyone, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been sick the past year with a cold. And so I think that's great. And so I think for people who are very self-conscious these days about spreading germs or touching things that other people have eaten, like off of a big shared board, I think everybody having their own option for their own little food is perfect. It really meets everybody's needs. It's less expensive for you. It may be a little bit more time consuming to prepare all of these, but wow, I mean, your guests are just going to be wowed by the fact that you did this because it's so different and unique. But let's say you wanted to add some crackers. So I'm a big fan of wax paper. I think it takes me back to the day when I was a little girl and I used to go to my grandmother's house and she used wax paper to wrap her sandwiches. And when I go through the lunch line at school, the sandwiches were always wrapped in wax paper. So I encourage you, if you ever make, this is not, doesn't have anything to do with a charcuterie, but an entertaining tip is if you make sandwiches, wrap them in wax paper. Wax paper comes like this in the grocery store, in case some of you don't know what wax paper is. It's with the plastic wrap. I mean, it's been around for probably 100 years. It is microwavable, but you can't put it in the oven. But it's perfect. Let me show you the, oh gosh, okay, this is gonna be fun. So can y'all see this? So let's say you made a sandwich. Beautiful bread, by the way. This bread came from Whole Foods. I always like to share where things come from. And it's their Euro classic, and it's a brioche baguette. But look at this. Okay, so first of all, I don't like messy edges. I don't know if anybody out there is kind of a neat freak, but that's not good for presentation. So here's your sandwich. Okay, and then I have some baker's twine. And let me just, baker's twine is just, it comes in spools. You can buy it on Amazon in all different colors. This just happens to be black and white. And one of the bakeries that I like to go to in town always wraps their boxes up in this. And instead of throwing it out, I like to keep it in my drawer. So whenever I want to do something like this, so you just take it and tie it in a little bow. And there's your sandwich. Isn't that adorable? It's kind of hard to see. Can y'all see that? It's funny. There we go. Can y'all see that now? I mean, and your friends are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. If you don't want to do a whole piece of bread, you could cut it in half and then have the sandwiches in halves. But there's an example of how you can elevate pretty much anything with wax paper and ribbon. Okay, but I'm going to show you for this purpose how you can put your crackers inside of your jar. All right, so here's your jar. What I did was I cut a square of wax paper. And I'm going to put it on the top of my jar. And then I'm going to take some crackers and kind of, I've got 2 here. And kind of, you don't want to smash it in there because you don't want to smash all your food, but it'll be okay if you just kind of press it. Then you're going to take your lid and put that on top. And then you're going to, this is the seal lid that if you were doing canning. And then you're going to put the other lid down over it. And you're just going to keep turning until it's done. Now, you could leave it just like that. You could trim it if you wanted to, which I will do. Just kind of go around in a circle. Like that. And then go back and get a little bit more of that ribbon. And if you are really good at making labels on your computer, you could make a round label and put a label on top to say something like, I'm so happy you're with me tonight, or welcome to, you know, something you could say, it's so cheesy to be together, or something like that. But anyway, there is your portable charcuterie. And then whenever you get to where you're going, they unwrap it, and there's their crackers. And they're not wet, they're completely dry. They take it off, and then they've got some nice little snacks to chew on. Okay, so there is that. Now, one last thing I want to show you before we move to Q&A is how to decorate your brie. All right, now this is a bumpy brie. You know, normally when you buy brie, it comes in a package that looks like this, and it's wrapped in a almost kind of like wax paper or foil. And so when I took this out, I was a little, and the reason it's so soft is it has a lot of concentration of butter in it, but the lid's not smooth. It's very rigid. But so if you can, I would suggest you try to get a brie that's has more of the soft, I'm trying to do this so y'all can see there. I would try to get a top that's not as bumpy. This will be fine. It's still gonna look fun. It's just not gonna be as pretty as if you had a solid top. So one of the questions I always get asked is, can you eat the white on the brie? Absolutely. It's still part of the cheese. It's not bad for you. You don't need to cut it off. You can certainly eat it. But what I did was I took my cheese and I turned it on its side, and with a really sharp knife, I cut off probably about maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, just off the top. Now, this is really fun. I did this. If y'all go to my Instagram, you can see that I did this back at Valentine's Day. And I took a heart-shaped cookie cutter. And, but since we're getting ready to celebrate Memorial Day, I got a star. And so we'll see if this turns out, because the top of this brie is a little iffy. So we're going to take a spoon, and I got some raspberry preserves. If you could do blue for July 4th, like red, white, and blue. And I'm just going to take my raspberry preserves and kind of spread it in the middle of my cheese. And now we're going to take and this brie is very room temperature, so it may not work. Okay, the goal is we're hoping we're going to be able to get the star to come out so that when y'all put this, look at that. Okay. So all I did was that it was probably good that I used the plastic that it came in, is you just cut it out with your, look, and then you've got your star-shaped brie that you can put. Let's get that cheese board back. So now you've got your star, and then let's get our crackers. And just put your crackers around like that. And you could even take some sliced apple. and put some pretty, or you could even do blueberries. If you really wanted to stay true to the red, white, and blue, you could do blueberries. So now you've got your pretty apple. Let's cut this one here so you can see the edge. You've got a pretty wedge of apples. Let's take that thyme and kind of stick it in here. And this is great because let's say your partner told everybody at work, hey, y'all come over after work. I'm sure she's got something in the refrigerator that she can just throw something together. And your partner walks in the house and says, hey, my coworkers are coming over in 10 minutes and I need you to throw something together. So if you have some brie in the refrigerator and you have an apple, so let's basically what you did was you took less than 10 minutes to put brie, crackers, an apple, and some thyme on a board. And there you go. There's your kind of your modern twist on a charcuterie board. So, oh, and you know what? We forgot about the almonds. So maybe put the almonds in your little wee juice jar. There's your crackers. And you're good to go. And that, let's add this up. Okay, the brie was $8, the nuts were $8, and then the box of crackers I think was probably like $3, and an apple was $1. So for less than $20, you have a really nice little appetizer. You can offer your friends, have them come over for a glass of wine or a glass of iced tea, and you're good to go. So that brings my presentation to an end. And I want to answer questions. So I'm going to go back and look to see what questions everybody have. And Shelly put in the chat, if y'all didn't see it, she put in let's see, she put in the chat the handout that y'all can print and save to your computer. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning. Latoya Garrison said she loves Aldi. I do too. Although I have to say, I am more of a Trader Joe's gal. And I don't know if y'all know the history that two brothers, and they split, and one started Trader Joe's and one started Aldi. So that's why they're a little bit similar. Let's see. I'm in the UK. We have Aldi here. Been to America and know Trader Joe's too. That was Fondiwi. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. Where do you get your macaroni almonds? They're not in every grocery store. I picked mine up in Whole Foods. I know that Costco has them. I'm not a Sam's shopper, so I'm not sure about Sam's, but a lot of specialty food stores have Marcona almonds. Let's see. Good idea for the wee glasses of wine. Kim Jordan liked that. Let's see. Do you keep apples from browning during transport to concert? How do you keep them from browning? Okay, one easy thing you can do is lemon juice. What I would suggest you do is, instead of using the lemon concentrate, is I just would cut you up a lemon and take that with you on your concert, because you might want to put this like in your iced tea or just as a garnish. And you can take your your lemon slice, and just kind of wipe the slices of apple. You can also use orange if you're not a big lemon fan. And Sydney chimed in that lemon juice works. Oh, and Kim Jordan said lemon lime soda like Sprite. I've never done that. Let's see. What else? I'm getting to y'all's questions. Only one piece of meat. No, you can do salami. You could do pepperoni. You could do the prosciutto. So you could maybe make one of your charcuteries, when we made this little garnish, this was pepperoni. You could have another one be salami, and you could have the other one be the prosciutto. A lot of times if you go to the deli counter, I mean, meat makers have gotten really creative with their meats. Sometimes you can find a meat that's covered in pepper, and maybe that's like a chicken that has been covered in a pepper coating. That would be really yummy, the spicy pepper with the cheese. Or they'll infuse their meat with jalapeno. So anything that's going to have one extra flavor that you can kind of kick up the cheese. And when I was in Whole Foods this morning, picking up a few last minute things for class, there was the cheese lady was telling the guy next to me about they just got in a cheese that had been soaked in Merlot. So you can be as creative as you want to with your meat and cheese. You don't have to limit to just one. So Elaine, I hope that answered your question. Do you ever do something where you put something like a hummus on the bottom? You absolutely could. You could put hummus on the bottom and then maybe do a layer of waxed paper to keep it protected. What I actually suggest I would do is I would take this jar, this wee jar, the tiny little jar, and I would put your hummus in here. And then you can cover the top of it with waxed paper. And then if you get another jar, or maybe like a jar like this, you could cut strips of red, yellow, and green bell pepper. And then you've got a hummus jar, and you've got your pepper jar, and then your guests can just dip. They can take 2 little jars and put them on their plate. So that was a great question from Liz on Facebook. Peanut butter jar lids work well also. Elaine was talking about how you keep your crackers separate. Can you put the meat and nuts in a jar too towards the top? You can do anything you want. Again, you just want to make sure that if you have something in your jar that is going to seep moisture, you don't want it to be on the top and then it'll drip down onto things that you want to still stay firm. So I think it's just trial and error. Try it one way, maybe just for yourself during the week, put it in the refrigerator and see how it works out for you. How do you keep the nuts dry too? Again, if it's on the top, then it's not going to get, and y'all have to also remember too, that you're going to be eating this pretty quick. If you're going to be doing these the night before to save time, then you may need to be more conscious about, are my nuts going to get wet? Or, is my cheese going to get soggy? So you can create barriers. You could create a barrier with a slice of bread. That would absorb some of the yumminess from the seasoning. Have you ever tried to sell the jars or prepare boards to people? I haven't. I know there are a lot of people who have started businesses during COVID on making cheese boards. There's one, I can't think of the name of it, but I love to watch how here's the other thing too, is it doesn't have to just be a cheese board. You can, if you get out there, there's cookbooks on Amazon on how to put together boards. You could do a dessert board with little mini cheesecakes and chocolate covered strawberries and candies. You could do I've done one of these before. I've done a s'more board where I had different kinds of candies, marshmallows, marshmallow cream, chocolate, cinnamon, and regular graham crackers, and you put that out on a board. I mentioned earlier in the top of the show that I have a monthly book club that I do. And one of my book club meetings, we did a candy board, and I bought all the candy that looked like the cover of the book because the cover of the book was very colorful. So I got things like hot tamales and licorice wands. So you can do all kinds of things. Don't limit yourself to just, thinking, well, I just have to do cheese. You could do anything you want. You could do a fruit board. You could do an angel food cake board. You could put a big thing of cut up angel food cake in the middle, and then strawberries and peaches and pineapples and bananas around the corner. And then maybe you could melt a little fondue pot of melted chocolate. So there's all kinds of things that you can do. My Facebook page is Home with a Twist. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just Google Home with a Twist, and my picture's on most all of it, so you'd recognize me. And let's see. And from Facebook, does this go with a margarita too? I mean, does a margarita go? Margaritas go with pretty much everything. And this is kind of funny. About a month ago, in my professional life, I'm an event producer, and I was at a virtual event, and you know, I don't drink during events because I have to make sure I'm, you know, able to make quick decisions. And we were watching a chef make margaritas. Do you know how hard it is to watch someone make a margarita and they're drinking it in front of you and you can't try it? It made me really thirsty for a margarita. You can drink a margarita with anything. Here's another example. You could make a watermelon margarita. You just get on Pinterest and you search ideas on how to make margaritas. There's all kinds of ways you could. So yes, Brooke. Oh, let's see, Anne from Facebook. Yes, this would go with a margarita. I think cheese lends itself more to wine and a sangria, but certainly you could do whatever you want to. How would you travel with the kebabs? Great question, Sydney. So she's asking about these. You know what I would do? I would probably, again, take your trusty waxed paper, or I would I would line these all up on a sheet of foil and probably put another sheet of foil on top of them, and then maybe set that down on the top, like put all your jars in your cooler with some blocks of those cold packs, and then put your tray of, or if even if you had a small cookie sheet, these would fit on there, and then just cover them. And then you could just have that beer on the top of your cooler when you opened it. Do your guests just reach into the jar with their fingers to pour the items into a plate, or what's the best way to eat? Great question. I'm going to step away from my camera and show you. Okay, this is a little appetizer fork, and you can buy these on Amazon. This is actually metal stainless. I think they probably, if you just Google maybe appetizer forks on Amazon, you could probably find some plastic ones. But what I would do is I would take one of these, and this could make it really, you could really elevate your jar. What did I do with it? Where did I do with my jar? Do y'all see it somewhere? Okay, so my jar is missing, and now are my all right, let's just pretend my jar is around. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, so here. So let's pretend all my stuff's in my jar. You could take your fork, and if you have any washi tape, which washi tape is just a Japanese, a pretty little Japanese, almost kind of like masking tape, and you could tape it to the side, and it's decorative. They come in all different colors and patterns, but that would be really pretty. And then you could take ribbon and wrap it around there, or you could just have these and just hand them to everybody. So, so that's how people could eat out of the jar. I hope that answered your question, Tracy. I cut my apple slices and put the back together like a whole apple with the elastic around it. Never browns. Brooke, excellent tip. So what Brooke said is she cuts her apple slices and puts them back together like a whole apple, and then puts elastic around it, and then her apple doesn't ever brown. So I think Brooke wins the award if we were giving out awards. How far in advance can these be made? I would think you would probably not want to make them more than maybe the night before or the morning of, because then everything kind of starts to turn brown. Your flavors kind of start to meld. So this is not something you could probably do well in advance. Can plastic containers be used? Absolutely. You can certainly use plastic containers. That's a really good point, Cynthia, if you're going someplace you don't want glass to break. Any idea for something that could be used as a base for the kebabs to be stuck into for a party? Absolutely. A watermelon, a cantaloupe, a bell pepper, a cabbage. A cabbage is great for that. You could hollow out the cabbage and put maybe a pasta salad inside of the cabbage. You could, a pineapple is good, a watermelon is good for any of those things to put your kebabs in. Can you put brie in a jar? You can. Brie is a really soft cheese, and if it's warm, like the one I showed you guys, it'll kind of start to break down. So that's why I showed you the option for the brie to be kind of on its own. You can use foil muffin cups, absolutely. In fact, I wished I had remembered to do this, but if y'all ever go to really nice bakeries, they have the parchment paper that look like tulips. They kind of sit down in your muffin tin and then they kind of splay out with parchment. Those would be really pretty to make a charcuterie display inside. Looking for you on Pinterest. I am on Pinterest, Home with a Twist. It might say Melissa. And let's see, Terry's joining us from Canada. Wonderful. I love Canada. Beautiful place to be. I don't think I think I'm at the end of my questions. Unless you have a question you'd like for me to answer. I have had such a fun time with you guys this afternoon. I hope I've inspired you to try something new. If you do try one of the tips that we talked about in class, I would love for you to send me a picture or post it on Facebook and tag me. The way that you tag on Facebook is to do the @ sign and then do Home with a Twist, and then I'll get the message. Or you can email me at homewithatwist@gmail.com. I would love to see that you put into practice the things that we did. Inspiring women to invite their friends into their homes and spread hospitality is one of my greatest joys. So I love that. Thank you, everybody who's chiming in to say thank you. It has been my honor to be with you guys. I would love to have you as a follower. If you ever have any questions or you have a suggestion for a story idea, be sure to email me at homewithatwist@gmail.com, and I will get back to you. Would love to have you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So I'm going to close out the show. Shelly, I don't know if there's anything that you need to send everybody off with, but it's been an honor.